Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today I am continuing my summer seed starting series where we're starting a bunch of seeds for the fall. And today we're going to be focusing on Coleus and Dichondra. Okay, if you are new to the channel or you haven't been watching the past videos, I am starting a whole bunch of seeds this summer for some beautiful fall containers and some beautiful fall borders in my garden. And I'm doing this to save money. Typically I go spend a few $100s buying plants from the nursery, typically around September, only to put them out and they last maybe about, 5 to 6 weeks before our weather's just kaput. And so this year I thought that I would go about it a little different way. This past spring, or actually technically this past winter, I started a whole bunch of seeds for my spring annuals and just really enjoyed the entire process. And then I got to put them outside and watch them produce, which was amazing. So I wanted to start that whole process again this summer because not only am I going to get the joy of these plants when they finally go out in the containers and borders, but I can enjoy this whole process of starting them from seeds as well. So I'm really getting a lot of bang for my buck. Okay, so far we started petunias and marigolds, and back here my petunias have already sprouted. I would say several of the varieties have already sprouted. The Valentine have sprouted, the blue petunia have sprouted. Some of the other ones have sprouted, but they're not quite big enough. The burgundy, very tiny. Petunias sprout tiny little seedlings to get started. My marigolds are much further along over here, looking really good. So I'm feeling good about all of that. Now remember, when you are starting seeds and you have them sprouting, once about 60% of the tray has sprouted, you want to remove the dome at that point to allow really great air circulation so you don't deal with issues like damping off. That also helps with any kind of algae or fungus that might grow on the surface of the soil. Having really good air circulation is probably one of the most important things you can do for your seedlings. So I started a whole bunch of Coleus in the winter time and then had it in my spring garden, and it's doing beautiful outside. And I am obsessed because I loved it. I love this particular kind of variety of Coleus called Kong Coleus, and it makes these really large dramatic leaves. Absolutely beautiful. And in the past I've typically buy them from Callaway's, and it's typically $12.99 for a little 6-inch pot. Very expensive. So when I noticed that they were available through I like Swallowtail Garden Seeds, that's where I buy all my Kong Coleus seeds. Once I realized that they were available through there, I thought I need to give this a try. And oh my gosh, I had such a great time. I had a really great result, and they were just the most beautiful, gorgeous Coleus. And truthfully, my Coleus are going bonkers outside. They all need to be trimmed back because they're all going to seed at this point, which maybe I need to go out there and collect seeds as well. But I'm really excited to go ahead and start another round of different varieties of Kong Coleus, plus a different variety of Coleus that's not necessarily a Kong variety. Now, Coleus are an annual for me. A lot of people start them from seed. You can also propagate them where you take cuttings and propagate them in water and soil, which I did that as well. I had hundreds of Coleus plants this last year. I had such a good experience. I'm going to be growing Coleus from seed for years to come. I definitely think the Coleus I grew from seed was a better quality plant. It didn't deal with as much disease and issues as the ones that I propagated. Now, Coleus is very easy to grow from seed. It just takes time to get going. So that's one of the important things. I'm starting a lot of my stuff now so that come September, it's time to plant them out in containers and along my border. Now, Coleus need to germinate between about 65 to 85 degrees. I use a heat mat for my Coleus to get that up. I grow all of my seeds inside in my dining room. My ambient temperature for my house is between 68 and 72 degrees. But if I want to get them to germinate a little bit quicker, I'm going to aim towards that 85-degree mark for Coleus, and then that'll help them germinate quicker. And I'll do that by utilizing a seed mat or a heat mat. Now, Coleus take about 12 to 21 days for germination. So that 21 days is a long time. And I did have some varieties that took that long. So you definitely just want to be patient. You want to observe your seeds each day, keeping an eye on them, making sure that they're moist throughout the whole growing process. Coleus seeds need light for germination. That means they're going to be surface sow seeds. So the seed's going to sit just right on the surface of the soil so that it has light throughout the whole process. I have grow lights. I have them here. I have them under my dining room table. I have another stand over there. And my lights are not like the expensive grow lights. They are just like lights from Walmart and things like that. And if you're interested in them, I'll drop the link to the video that shows all my seed starting supplies in the video description below, so you can check it all out if you're interested. But they do need light for germination. My lights are on 16 hours a day, minimum 16 hours. Your Coleus needs minimum 14 hours. I go ahead and go 16 hours. It just makes sense in my head, like, because I just think of sets of 8. So 2 sets of 8 is 16. I know, right? And that's how my brain works. And so I do 16 hours, which works really, really good. It needs that time from the beginning all the way through the growing process. Now, you can definitely direct sow Coleus seeds. The deal is you have to keep them moist throughout the whole germination process, which is a no-go right here now in North Texas. It is unbelievably hot. It feels like a dry heat outside, which is really weird. We usually have like a humid heat. But it is super dry outside. There's no way that I could keep seeds moist outside at this point in time. So by starting them inside, that really allows me to control those conditions. Now for Coleus, you're going to start them about 10 weeks before you want to use them. So we're here at the end of June, so I'll have July, August, and partway through September, which is really great timing because the midway through September, towards the end of September, is when I'm going to be planting up my fall containers. Our fall, and I do mean fall, because our fall is still like 85, 90 degrees. We don't really get a true fall, but we'll technically go through all of October in the first 2 weeks in November. And then after that, we'll start to slip towards the cooler temps. However, the last couple of years, we've had warmer temps into the second week in December. So it really just kind of depends on what Mother Nature decides to do this year. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to plant up this Coleus. And then after I give you the first round of how to plant up the Coleus, I'm going to talk to you about the four varieties I'm going to be growing this summer. Now, the soil I like to use, it's called Burger BM7. It is just a standard potting soil. You can definitely use seed starting mix if you prefer. I prefer this. It's more cost effective and I like that I don't have to have an additional element or a different type of soil to utilize. And the method that I use for seed starting is a dry soil method. That's how I start. I don't pre-moisten my soil before I put it in the containers. I do all dry, and then I add water to the water reservoir and allow the soil to soak it up at that point in time. And that just works best for me. I think it's like a texture thing. I don't know. I just don't like this like super wet soil. I think it's like really messy, that I'm literally just making mud in my dining room. So this method works a lot better for me. Now, the seed starting trays I may be utilizing are my Amazon seed starting trays. And no, I do not clean them between seedlings. I just don't. And it basically comes with a water reservoir and a 12-cell container for seed starting. For the seeds, and then it comes with a humidity dome on the top. And if you're interested in this, it's linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. This size works great for me because I'm a small at-home gardener, right? It's not often that I need a tray of 72 of one type of seed. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I put different types of seeds in the 72 cell container. Truthfully, it works better if you do all of one particular variety in those trays, because all seeds need different kind of conditions and environments, whether they need to be moist, surface sown, below the surface, whether they take 5 days to germinate or 21 days to germinate. It's just too much variant between each of the varieties of seeds. So working with this smaller container really fits the size of my garden and allows me to control the conditions for each of the varieties of seeds. So all I'm going to do is just start drawing the soil across the top. I'm going to use my fingers to gently push it down. Since we are doing surface sow for the Coleus, I'm just going to make sure that my soil comes all the way up to the top of these seed cell containers. Very, very simple, just like that. So let me go ahead and fill a variety of these containers. Okay, So we've got our soil in the containers, and we're going to go ahead and start with one of the Coleus. Now, one of the Coleus. You only get 10 seeds per container, but I mean, with the price that these end up being, $12.99 or $12.99 for one plant is so much that this one seed is no big deal at all. So basically, what I'm going to do is I've got 10 seeds per variety of Coleus. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop one seed into each of these containers. Now, these seeds are pelleted, meaning they have like a water soluble coating over the top that just makes it easier for you to manage the seeds because Coleus seeds are so tiny. Once I've got my seeds in, I'm going to gently go down and press with my finger, making sure that the seed has really great contact. I think I accidentally moved one seed there. Here we go. Making sure the seed has really good contact with the soil surface. And that'll make it easier in the future for the root that comes out of the seed to go directly down into the soil. So just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of them, and I'll talk to you about the different varieties while I'm finishing these up. All right, this first Coleus is Kong Lime Sprite, and it's known for having a really kind of deep rose mid-rib color, flowers late in the season, similar to red, and it is known for a really, really large, unique patterned leaves, about 18 to 20 inches tall by 15 to 18 inches wide. All right, this next variety is Kong Red. It has deep burgundy leaves with rosy red centers and lime green edges, known for having massive leaves about 18 to 20 inches tall by 15 to 18 inches wide. And I really love how some of these plants just have multiple colors in. I can see anywhere from 3 to 5 colors in these Coleus. This next one is Kong Rose, similar to the Kong Red. It's fast-growing, well-branching, almost 24 inches tall, extra large leaves with a brilliant rose color in the center and large green edging on the sides. Absolutely stunning. I really like this one. It looks similar to the red, but it really does have a distinctive pink color to it. And this last variety is the Chocolate Mint, absolutely stunning. It has cocoa colored leaves edged with mint green. It vigorously grows mounds beautifully and is well branched at about 20 inches tall. Really excited to have this brown color mixed in with a lot of my containers because there's not a lot of flowers that are a brown tone. Okay, for the dry soil method, all I do is take my reservoir and I fill it up a little over 50% of the way. And then all I do is take my container and put it down right in there. And you can see how very quickly it goes down. It begins soaking up the soil. Now, this only works well with potting soil. This technique does not work very well with seed starting mix. With seed starting mix, I highly suggest you go ahead and mix the soil by hand with water, like in a tub or something ahead of time. It just works a lot better this way. But that way, but I really do enjoy this dry soil seed starting method to start off with. It just works well for my likes and dislikes of that I don't want to hand mix the soil. Okay, all of these are good to go. Now the next part is to put domes on top, making sure that the vents are closed in it. I do not, let me see if I'm not going to be able to get this down. I do not mist my seeds on the top. And the reason being is there's enough water in here for the water to soak up all the way to where those seeds are. So it's just really not an issue. It's just an extra step that I don't really need to do because of the type of method that I work with. Okay, so heat mat. I'm going to go ahead and remove my marigolds from their heat mat because they can be kept at the 70 to 72 range while continuing to grow. And look at all those sweet little seedlings, very cute. And that will open up an additional heat mat for me over here. Now regarding this shelf right here, I will have to keep a really close eye on these. As soon as they sprout, I need to move them to one of my other shelves where the light is closer. If I let them sprout on this shelf, they'll reach really far for the light. The light is not close enough. You definitely want the light as close as possible. Okay, sweet, we're in good shape. So once again, on these Coleus, they can take anywhere from 7 to 21 days to sprout, and I've had them run that whole length gambit of time. So definitely make sure you are patient. You definitely want to make sure you check to confirm that the soil is staying moist. I typically look for a little bit of humidity in my domes. I prefer to have a little bit of humidity in my domes. If I don't have humidity, then I know that I don't have enough water to get my seeds started. Once it's about 60% of your seeds have germinated in one particular tray, you want to remove that dome and make sure you have really great air circulation. At that time, you can also remove it from the heat mat. You don't have to keep it on the heat mat throughout the entire growing process. Okay, yay, I'm excited. Okay, so next we're going to start Dichondra. Typically, a lot of people know it as Dichondra Falls. I am going to be growing 2 varieties from seed this year, and this is my first year growing Dichondra. However, I've heard that it's pretty easy. So I ordered 2 varieties, both of them from Swallowtail Garden Seeds. Swallowtail Garden Seeds is hands down my favorite place right now. Now, they don't give me anything for free. They don't give me a discount. I pay full price for all of my products. So my opinion is very straightforward about what my thoughts are. So Dichondra is considered a tender perennial. A lot of times it's used as a living mulch. So a lot of people use it in baskets or containers, but it actually grows great out on the ground. A lot of people use it as a lawn. They'll do Dichondra Falls across their entire lawn, which is super cool. These can be direct sowed, but the temperatures has to be very specific when direct sowing, and now is not the time for that. They do require full sun, and they are considered very heat and drought tolerant. You need to start them about 12 weeks before you need them. So I'm a little bit late, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I probably should have started them earlier in June. Truthfully, it would have been better if I started all of these seeds early in June. However, I was traveling for such a long time in June. I didn't want to start my seeds and then leave them for almost 2 weeks because there's no way that they would have been in good shape when I got back. Now, these do need to be on a heat mat. They need about 70 to 75 degrees to germinate. And even though my house is about 72, it does get down lower in the evening. So I think it's best for me to have them on the heat mat. These are about 4 to 15 days to germination. I'm hoping for 4, especially because they'll be a little bit warmer. I think that'll be really good. And these are surface sows, so they need light for germination. So their seed is going to go directly on top. So you only get about 10 seeds per container, but 10 plants is plenty of each of these varieties. I'm going to go ahead and start all the seeds in each of the containers. So let's go through that process, and we'll talk about the varieties that I have as well. Now, this first variety is Emerald Falls, and it is definitely grown as a really rich green plant for hanging baskets and dense, lush ground coverage. It grows full, very trim with deep green leaves and a really dense uniform habit that looks as if you must keep it trimmed at all times. It's only about 2 inches tall, but at 36 inches wide. Now this one is the Silver Falls, so it has this really intense fan-shaped silver foliage with silver stems, very heat and drought tolerant. Strong trailing plant is really fun for baskets and containers, only about 2 to 6 inches tall by about 48 inches wide. So this guy is huge and beautiful. Okay, so I've got those taken care of. Surface sown, just the exact same technique that we did with the Coleus. I made sure I added my water at least 50% of the way in the water reservoir. I have my domes on with the vents closed. It is always amazing to me how easy it is to start seeds. The hard part is caring for your seeds in between your seedlings in between the time when they sprout to when you get them out in the garden. So I do a lot of seed updates along the way. I did a ton in the spring, and then I do have videos that talk about caring for your seedlings. One of the big thing is making sure they have great air circulation and fertilizing them. A lot of people, they don't understand, like they said my seedling is doing great and now it's just stunted, it's not growing anymore. Fertilize, fertilize, fertilize. Using a liquid fertilizer, I use Alaskan fish emulsion at a 50% rate to the recipe that they suggest on the bottle, and it works great for my seedlings. It'll work especially great for my Coleus seedlings this last year. I'm very excited to see how it goes with these Dichondra Falls. Okay, all done. I'm excited. So I have one more set of seeds to start for my fall containers and fall borders, and that's going to be profusion zinnias and purple millet, ornamental purple millet, which I'm super excited about. And I'm probably going to do that like today or tomorrow. I need to go ahead and get on that. And then after that, I'm going to be switching to all my cool flowers. These are flowers that I'm going to start now from seed, plant them out in the fall and overwinter them outside so that I have blooms in the spring. And we're going to be doing foxglove, delphinium. We're going to be doing lupin. We're going to be doing I can't think of a lot of right now off the top of my head. We're going to be doing a ton of those as well. Growing some for myself, but a whole bunch for Kristen's new property. I'm also going to be starting some perennials from seed, including coneflower, powwow white coneflower, rudbeckia. It's one of the other cool flowers is straw flowers. Like, we're going to be starting a whole bunch of seeds. This is a time in the North Texas area. It is brutally, dangerously hot outside. I really can't do all that much in my garden, except maybe go out and do some basic maintenance, which I have a puttering video coming up soon. I can't do a lot of like big gardening projects because this heat wave is a little earlier than it typically is. Usually it's July, but it really came like the third week in June. So it cuts off a few days. But anyway, you can't get out there, so starting stuff inside is going to be great. I'm really excited. I'm excited to get this whole process going again, and because I had such a good time in January, February, and March starting all my seeds. I really enjoyed it. It really helped me get through the winter months, and so I'm really excited about utilizing that same strategy to get me through the hot months here in Texas. All right, you all, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you drop me a comment. Are you growing along with me on seeds? Do you have any plans for fall containers and fall borders for your upcoming fall garden? And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.